Wow. I have not calmed down from last night's Phillies game. And yes, it was the Marlins. For the fun police out there, doing this against a team like the Marlins shouldn't be that hard. Yeah, you know what? You're right. But baseball's a funny game from what I understand. And as one guy, Anthony, was telling me last night's game was downright hilarious. Thank you, Anthony. It was fun tweeting back and forth with you during last night's game. And I mean that. That's not a snarky thing. That's a sincere thing. Phillies win last night against the Marlins. They open up their homestand with a nice victory, a weird victory, quite frankly. We'll go over what made it so damn weird last night, but we'll go over that. Aaron Nola, hey, Aaron Nola, good to see you again. Nice little respite you take, and now you're back. Nice. It was a wild night, not just for the Phillies, but the NL wildcard standings as well. Some crazy things took place because I was almost positive that there was going to be no huge change in the wild card standings. Turns out there was two somewhat changes in the wild card standings, and we'll get to that just coming up in a little bit. Also coming up today, Clay Harbor joins us, former Eagles tight end. We'll break down all things Eagles with us when it comes to what to expect, specifically from another tight end named Dallas Goedert on this Philadelphia Eagles football team. We'll get to that conversation. We'll also get to what Jason Peters has left in the tank to give the Dallas Cowboys because, well, let's just say this. Clay Harbor thinks Jason Peters has a lot left in the tank. We'll cover all that and more today. And, of course, the Sixers make a signing, bringing in Montrezl Harrell to take over the backup center responsibilities. Sorry, B-Ball Paul. Sorry, B-Ball Paul crowd. Sorry, B-Ball Paul victory toward people. But we're just not there yet. Let's take a look at the wild card standings when it comes to what the Phillies were able to do last night and get their victory. The Mets, I mentioned two big changes. The Mets are listed in the wild card standings for the first time in forever, as the Atlanta Braves won last night. The Mets lost last night to the Pirates. So that's why the people that are out there right now saying, "Oh, the Phillies struggling against the Marlins. They should struggle against the Marlins. They should be burying the Marlins. They should win this game 10-1 against the Marlins." Yeah, baseball's a funny game. The Pirates beat the Mets. Mets fall into the wild card standings now, or as it's more appropriately, they don't have the outright lead, if you will, in the National League East for the first time since April 12th. So the Braves and the Mets tied to the standings in the National League East, tied to the standings in the National League wild card spot, with the Phillies occupying the second spot, as are the Padres and the Brewers. Now, this is just bonkers. The Brewers, folks, a lot of you, when you went to bed last night, maybe you knew Christian Yelich hit that 499-foot home run, which was pretty impressive. But the Brewers were up 6-1 in the eighth inning against the Colorado Rockies. All right? They were up 6-1 in the eighth inning. They lost last night by a score of, was it 9-7? I think was the final score. All I have is the details here. The Brewers took a 7-6 lead in the 10th inning. So it looked like they were going to be able to win, and it looked like they were going to win when it was 6-1 in the eighth. But the Colorado Rockies stormed back. They tie it at 6, go to extras. In the 10th inning, the Brewers take a 7-6 lead. So you think they're going to keep pace with the Phillies and only be 2 games out of the wild card spot now. But oh no, the Rockies come storming back with a 4-run bottom of the 10th inning. They got a 3-run home run to cap things off, and they end up beating the Brewers. So the Brewers fall in last night's ball game and are now 3 games out of wild card contention. Hey, any little bit helps. Stack the wins before we hit that part of the schedule that I showed you guys yesterday. But here's why last night's game was so crazy. In case you missed it, holy Moses. I saw a lot of people were not at the game last night because it was raining all day. And then the game did start on time. And how about this? Before the game started, Anthony Dominguez and Zach Eflin were thrown off the mound, taking a little simulation in to see if they're going to be ready to come back and join the big league ball club in the not-too-distant future. So that's great to see. But last night, the first run of the ball game, good old Eddie Sosa hits a ball down the left field line that hits the foul pole. So it's a home run, solo shot by Eddie Sosa. Sosa then scores later in the ball game on a sacrifice fly. Now, let's look at this for a second here. That play is a dumb play. That rule is a dumb rule in baseball. I get what you're saying as far as protecting the catcher. The Buster Posey rule, as it's become known. This has happened across baseball. This is the Marlins aren't the first team to suffer from this. But I'm just waiting for the shoe to drop where it happens to JT Realmuto. And JT Realmuto does essentially what they did last night, essentially what they did in Minnesota, or Rocky Baldelli lost his. We even talked about that on this show. We talked about the Minnesota Twins on this show because of how bad Rocco Baldelli lost his mind over the rule. Not the umpires, but the rule. The rule is the problem, because in both cases, the one that made Rocky Baldelli lose his mind and what happened last night on Anderson's incredible throw from left field was the catcher did exactly what you were supposed to do in that situation. You stand with your left foot on the top of the plate. So this way, you can't be told that you're blocking the plate. So you're just standing with like the outside of your foot, your left foot, on the very top of the black of the top of the plate. That way you can't be told that you're blocking the path. You're standing there, you're waiting for the throw. As the throw comes, you can't help but get ready to catch it. And if you're getting ready to catch it, a lot of times it can't help but going into the baseline. Last night's play was wild to me because, yes, I'm glad it benefited the Phillies, but the ball bounces directly over Sosa. And the way they made the tag last night, the body was out of the way of home plate, the leg was across home plate, and then he had to reach to make the tag. Was he blocking the plate? Technically, yes, he was blocking the plate, but how do you argue that the throw didn't take him there when the ball is literally over the runner? That's what's wild. If that happened to the Phillies, I'd be losing my mind this morning. But it didn't. It benefited the Phillies. Phillies won a one-run ball game, and that run crossed the plate. That one run crossed the plate in the sixth inning. So I'm not that mad about it. But I'm just waiting until it comes back to bite us in the ass, because there is a huge problem with that rule in Major League Baseball. Again, very happy that happened to the Phillies. It benefit the Phillies. Phillies benefit from it. But there's going to come a day where JT Realmuto is doing exactly what they were doing last night, and then he gets called for catcher interference blocking home plate. There's got to be some happy medium to all this, where as long as it's not blatantly blocking the plate, as long as you're not doing what you used to do back in the day, which is stand over the plate, like crouched down a little bit, hunched over, waiting for that throw, waiting for that hit at the same time, that's blocking the plate. That's how I know blocking the plate. What Rocky Baldelli went crazy over a month ago, that wasn't blocking the plate. What happened in last night's ball game, I don't think that was blocking the plate. And if the argument is, well, if the throw takes you into the runner's path or the base path, well, then you can't do anything about it. I literally watched every replay where the ball bounced directly over the runner. So what other way are you supposed to catch that ball? You're supposed to put your feet at the top of the plate and like lean over and catch it? Because that sounds more dangerous for a catcher. I'm just telling you, I'm not wishing it into existence, knock on wood, but I would have gone berserk if that happened to the Phillies last night. But it happened to the Phillies in a positive way. So we're happy. Hey, we're happy. So that was weird. So hit the foul pole. Weird play at the plate. I have never seen this before. When LeBlanc was at the plate for the Marlins, Brad Hand throws a low inside pitch. LeBlanc allegedly was hit on the right foot, on the right toe. They review it to see whether or not he was hit. I believe the call on the field was that he wasn't hit. They review, confirmed he was not hit. And then in the very next pitch, Brad Hand hits him in the exact same spot where he was almost hit previously on the exact same pitch. So then LeBlanc's got to take his base anyway. I've never seen that before. Baseball's a funny game. Nola was, by the way, done after 6 2/3. Again, nice to see him. That was great. Anderson came up with a sac fly RBI. That was another weird play between Vierling and Guthrie. That was a weird play. They almost collided. Center field is supposed to get to any ball possible. So that was my first thought. They ended up scoring a run on the sac fly RBI. But that was a weird play because Guthrie ended up just taking it, and the center field is supposed to take any ball he can get to, which is fine, except that was clearly Guthrie's ball. Like, that was so far in right field. I didn't think that was even a close call, but Fierling made it over there, so to his credit. So they almost collide on it, run up to score, and anyway, then the rest is history. Ninth inning. JT Realmuto throws out Williams trying to steal second base. That was a second out. Rojas singles, so that was a big play right there. Kept the score tied at 2. Robertson was able to get out of that jam. And then the Harper play in the ninth inning where he hits the pop fly ball down the left field line. Anderson's approaching. Immediately, Bryce Harper just looks disgusted with himself that he missed that pitch. And you know what? I give him credit. He still ran. He could have really dogged it. Like, he could have just trotted down the first base line. He hit it. He reacted. Yes, he shouldn't have done that. And then he put his head down and he started running, looked up, realized that there is no play made, and then started busting to second base. No, yes, Bryce Harper was in the wrong. Guy's done a lot of great things. I'm not going to kill him on that one particular play because at least he did run. I've seen plenty of guys just trot down the line. Oh, I'm so stupid. And only get a single out of a play like that. Barely made it to second base, ended up scoring the game-winning run when they walked JT Realmuto to get to Jean Segura, who won the game with a walk-off hit. The Jean Segura bat flip, by the way, I've never seen a guy, the two things I never saw before. One, I've never seen a guy almost hit, reviewed to see whether or not he was hit, he wasn't, and then he get hit on the very next pitch in the same spot. Never seen that before. Another thing I've never seen is I've never seen a guy do a bat flip and then have to look up for where he threw the bat so it didn't come down and hit him in the head. Like, I've never seen that before. But Jean Segura, walk-off hit on a sharply hit ball to right center field, and then launches the bat into the air, starts running down the first baseline, looks up like, oh, damn, where'd that ball go? Okay, where'd that bat go? Okay, I'm safe, fine. And then, of course, his teammates mob him. He gets the water shower, the Gatorade shower after the game, whatever, and the Phillies get the victory. Did they play down to their opponent in this game? Sure. Anytime you struggle against a team like the Marlins, absolutely. The Mets just, split a 4-game series with the Washington Nationals? They played down to their opponent. The Mets just last night, they've lost 3 in a row now. The Mets just lost to the Pittsburgh Pirates. They got pummeled by the Pirates last night. Yes, it happens in baseball. The Phillies at least played down to their opponent and won. It happens. It sucks that it happens, but it happens. They're 1-0 on this homestand after 1-5 on the road. I'll take it. Like I tweeted out after the game last night, hey, all I saw was that the Phillies won the ball game. And then to wake up this morning and realize that the Brewers lost as well, that's fun. And then to see the Mets and the Braves going to beat the crap out of each other for the top spot in the National League East as well as the wild card. Okay. That's good. That's enjoyable. I'll take it. So good to see at least the Phillies get on it. Oh, and Nola. That was another thing. Nola gets his 200th strikeout of the season, and nobody knew about it. It's the 4th time in his career that he's had a 200 strikeout season, which is pretty damn good when you consider he's a guy that when he was coming up, a lot of people talked about how, his throwing motion, his mechanics, he's going to be a guy that's on the IL, the injured list, way too many times. 200 strikeouts is a pretty nice stat to accomplish for a guy like him. And it's the 4th time in his career that he's been able to do that. So that was great. I also just thought it was hilarious that nobody knew. Guys were looking around like, what do we do now? Huh? By the way, Rob Thompson was asked about Bryce Harper's lack of hustle. Let's call it what it was. Lack of hustle. And said that if there's anyone beating himself up over it, it's Bryce Harper right now. Bryce owned it after the game. He said, yeah, I got to be better in that situation. Phillies ended up winning the game despite the lack of hustle in that particular moment. So that's good. Phillies and Marlins back at it today. Hey, I'm a big fan of B-Ball Paul. And I had a lot of issues with Doc Rivers last year and the whole Paul Reed victory tour. We're not taking the Paul. Why would you say that? Like, that bothered me so much. I'll bang the drum for B-Ball Paul. But the fact that you got Montrezl Harrell in here, I'm excited. And a 1-year deal with an option for a second at 5.2. Nice job, Daryl Morey. Nice job, Doc Rivers. Harrell's a guy that will come in here and he won't take any crap from anybody. Like, you have assembled a pretty tough team here when you also consider PJ Tucker is already here. I consider Joel Embiid to be a pretty tough basketball player. He's gotten in the head of now guys. Let's see, his 2 straight backup setters going into the season. Andre Drummond, we all remember, he was a guy that Joel Embiid lived rent-free, some beachfront property in the head of Andre Drummond. Those two seem to get along rather well in Philadelphia. Now, Harrell and Embiid got into a little tussle just last year where there was some pushing and shoving, and now they're teammates again. I don't think there's any issue there. I think everyone knows what Joel Embiid's trying to do when he's on the floor, and that's not just dominate you from a physical standpoint, that's dominate you from a mental standpoint as well. Now Harrell's the guy who's going to be coming off this bench, helping the Sixers win basketball games, and that is nothing to shake a stick at. And I'll tell you why. Because last year we knew how much this bench struggled. Now you have guys on this bench that can help you win and help carry you while your number one guys are sitting out. You can have confidence going into a postseason that your bench is not going to be a detriment. That when all things go down throughout an NBA game and you got to make sure those guys on the bench are spelling your starters, you're going to have guys be able to fill that void and hold a lead. I mean, you're going to have PJ Tucker in your starting lineup. That means, as of right now, with no trade imminent, Matisse Thybulle is going to be a defensive stalwart off the bench, which is his best role. A little bit of a stretch to have him as a starter last year. I wanted him as a starter over Danny Green. He ended up doing fine as a starter, and quite frankly, I thought deserved that role. In the playoffs, we all know what happened. He wasn't the same guy after he couldn't come back and play from Toronto. Wasn't the same guy after Doc Rivers, I think, made the right decision to stick with Danny Green as a starter in the playoffs for both experience and also consistency. All right, Thybulle, you're going to start in Philly, and then you're not going to start in Canada. No, just rather go with one starting 5 for that series. I think it was the right call. But having him come off the bench, now a offseason removed from that little debacle in the postseason last year, I think Matisse Thybulle will be a fine basketball player again for the 76ers, at least on the defensive end when we're talking about him getting defensive player of the year type of consideration. It's going to be tough to do that not as a starter, but still be able to bring that type of attitude off the bench for the Sixers, that type of skill set off the bench for the Sixers, which I love. House, guys like that you've brought in here, you're going to have a solid bench. George Niang's there. Furkan Korkmaz, when he's not getting in scuffles overseas, we're bringing a lot to you off the bench. Daryl Morey has rebuilt this bench, and it's one of the best stories that we're not talking about enough. Because we can all talk about guys like PJ Tucker coming into the starting lineup. We can talk about other acquisitions in other sports. But the fact that the Sixers have rebuilt their bench right before our very eyes from the start of this offseason and now is a beautiful thing. And it gives me a lot of confidence in this basketball team going forward because you're not just invested in 2 guys, or really 3 guys if you include Tobias Harris in your starting 5 right now as well. It's a great feeling to know that guys can take a break and you're going to have suitable reserves come in and hold down the fort while those guys are getting a break. So love the Harrell signing. Daryl Morey dazzles this offseason. Howie Roseman and Daryl Morey are trying to outdo each other. That's probably why Morey went to that training camp session. That's probably why. You're going to outdo me. Oh, yeah, I'm going to get Montrezl Harrell. How about that? I'm going to bring Harrell here. What do you think about that, Howie? That's probably what went down. Just saying is all. I got to get to this. Jason Peters. Pots and pans, man. Jason Peters kind of walked back. Now, I don't like this. Like yesterday, I told you how I'm fine with it. I don't think he's that great. Whatever. In terms from like this point on in his career, I don't think he has a lot left in the tank at 40 years old. However, Jason Peters, of course, was an Eagle for a long time. Jason Peters said some things publicly that the Cowboys are an arrogant organization. Yesterday, walked it back a little bit and said, well, I mean, it's not really arrogant. It's more swagger. Put the positive spin on it. Nice try. We all know what you meant. The first way you said it was the more accurate way to depict it. That was the better adjective to call them arrogant. That was the way to go with it. As I mentioned, Clay Harbor will be along with us in just a second to talk about how much Jason Peters does have in the tank. So that's unfortunate. And what was your boy telling you? What was I telling you last week? With CD Deuce coming to play safety for the Philadelphia Eagles. What did I break down for you last week, huh? What did I break down for you? I broke down the versatility factor. not just playing in the slot, but using his college experience at the safety position at the NFL level. And even if you're not someone that wants to hang your hat on a college safety, hang your hat on this. How versatile a safety has to be in the NFL nowadays, and how versatile safeties have been for the vast majority of the last 20 years here in Philadelphia, whether that be Malcolm Jenkins or whether that be Brian Dawkins, whether or not you're coming up to play in the box, whether or not you're playing back, whether or not you're playing in one-on-one coverage, whatever it might be, you got to be versatile as a safety. And that's exactly what Jonathan Gannon said yesterday when he was asked about how fast he can integrate CD Deuce into the scheme, and whether or not, and what made him so confident that CD Deuce could play the safety position after being a predominantly slot corner in the NFL. Here's Jonathan Gannon on that.
Just, looking at his tape, the skill set that he brings, and he basically played a lot in the slot, but he has played safety before. But, what we've talked about, a modern-day safety is doing it all. Coverage ability, being able to play in the box, having range, playing post-close, post-open, covering, tackling, communicating, being smart. So I feel like he's going to integrate well into the defense.
Jonathan Gannon yesterday in his press conference talking about CD Deuce running the show for the Philadelphia Eagles as a safety. You got to be versatile. You got to be able to do everything. You got to play at the line. You got to be able to play back. You got to be able to play aggressive. And he's got a good enough head on his shoulder to be able to do that as a member of the Philadelphia Eagles, which is just all I asked for. So you can bring that to the table. Let me tell you right now about my man Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut, right here in Philadelphia. Ladies and gentlemen, do what I do. When it comes to all your jewelry purchases, trust Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. One place, one price, the perfect price each and every day. Online at IHateStevenSinger.com. All right, without further ado, let's jump on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line. Talk to our friend Clay Harbor, kind enough to join us to talk about his expectations for this upcoming Eagles season. And joining us right now on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line, 9-year NFL veteran, reality TV star as well, and a man that's breaking down football like no other. Former Eagles tight end, Mr. Clay Harbor, joins us. What's going on, Clay?
Not a lot. I'm here in beautiful, sunny Chicago, Illinois. Just living the dream, Mark. Living the dream. And like you said, watching some football. It's almost time. It's actually game week. Let's go.
It is game week. Hey, before we get there, you were just starting school again in New York or something? How's that going?
I'm currently in Kelly School of Business right now. I just took a quiz. I got about 80% as 8 out of 10 questions. So we're doing good. We're doing good. Business school's coming along. Pretty soon I'll be a big-time executive, and maybe I'll be working with one of these organizations. Who knows?
80 is a good tight end number. 80 is a good tight end number. Not for nothing. Let me ask you this. You've been to 3 different training camps this preseason alone, and now, as I mentioned, it is game week, so we're done with the preseason. But you also spent a lot of time around those Chicago Bears last year and this year. What does Jason Peters have left in the tank, I ask you?
Honestly, I played with Jason Peters for 3.5 years in Philadelphia. I love JP. And crazy enough, the guy still has some gas in the tank. I know it's been a meme for Eagles fans. I saw the Trojan horse meme. I saw the guy with the walker meme. I've been seeing all kinds of Jason Peters memes. But you look at him, PFF last year has him as a top 20 tackle still. He's 20 offensive tackle in the league. The guy's still getting it done, and he's a prideful dude. If he's not going to get the job done, he's not going to put the jersey on. Jason Peters can still play. And I know Eagles fans hate to think, the Cowboys I think he's got a good year or 2 left in him. If Jason Peters wants to play, Jason Peters can still play football, as crazy as that is. And with the Bears last year, me living in Chicago, being from Chicago, and a Bears fan. I'm sorry, Eagles fans. I love my Birds, but I also love my Bears. I'm from here. The guy can still play. He was the lone bright spot of the offensive line last year. The only guy we could really rely on. He was the best player on that offensive line last season.
Wow. Could you ever play for the Cowboys?
Man, here's the thing, Mark. Money talks. Money talks.
A real answer. Yeah, there you go.
If they're writing me a check, I'll probably have to put on that jersey real quick. But, hey, Money talks.
I've heard Hollis Thomas, friend of the show, Hugh Douglas, friend of the show, Barrett Brooks, a friend of the show, Seth Joyner, all talk about, oh, I can't play for them. They've tried to call, they have called me, and I said no. And I'm like, no, I don't know if I believe you. Clay Harbor, I believe you. Money does talk, no matter if the jersey has a star on it or not. Let's talk about this Eagles offensive line. Let me shift gears to this Eagles offensive line here. I've asked this of a couple of people, but how does it work where a guy like Brandon Brooks retires? He was here last year, very little bit, and then he just up and retires. Jason Kelsey's another year older, not getting any younger. Isaac Seumalo moves to the right side. Second-year player like Landon Dickerson's now your starting left guard. A guy who was a rugby player 20 minutes ago, and Jordan Mailata is all of a sudden your franchise left tackle, and Lane Johnson's still here another year older. How does all that happen over the course of a season and an offseason, and it's still regarded as one of the best offensive lines in all of the game?
I mean, in Howie we trust. I mean, that's as far, I don't know. In Howie we trust, man. They've done a good job of developing guys. And Jordan Mailata, unbelievable player, left tackle. Lane Johnson, I think, is the best right tackle in football. I played with Lane. The guy's still doing it, getting it done. I mean, he looks like a dude that'd be running down an ancient battlefield holding an axe. I mean, you don't want to mess with this dude. This guy is a barbarian out there on the field, big, strong guy. Kelsey. And the thing is, we got Kelsey's heir apparent. Cam Jurgens can play. Watching him in preseason, I go, unbelievable. They found this kid right when Kelsey's about to ride off into the sunset. They got Jurgens coming up who's just going to step up. I'm not saying he's going to be Kelsey, but I'm saying he has the talent, the ability to be a great center in this league, and you can already see it from him. So it's impressive what they've been able to do with this offensive line, and I think Jalen Hurts is really going to benefit from that.
Okay, real quick, on that note, you talk about watching this team in the preseason. When you were at Eagles camp and you were taking it all in, other than Cam Jurgens, was there anyone else that really jumped out to you at Eagles training camp?
Well, a lot of guys jumped out to me, but I'm a tight end by trade, and I had never seen Dallas Goedert up close. I'm like, obviously, I want to see what this guy looks like. You watch a guy on TV, you don't know. I got to play with Ertz. Selleck, old Eagles guys. I played with Rob Gronkowski, Martellus Bennett, guys like Eric Ebron, Mercedes Lewis, Julius Thomas. I played with a number of good tight ends. I wanted to get up close and really see what does Dallas look like in person, okay? I think this guy's the real deal. He's physical, he can block, he can run, he can catch. He's a guy that he's not afraid to stick his face in there and hit someone. Then he can go to the next play and run a play-action pass across the field. Then he can split out into the slot, and he can run around on a safety. Oh, man, this guy can do everything. So watching that, I'm really high on Dallas Goedert. The guy flashed to me as a tight end. That's my trade. I've seen a lot of them. Really impressed with Goedert. And, I think he could be one of the best, if not the best, all-around tight end in the league. Got Kelsey, best receiving tight end, hands down. A guy who runs routes. He's not a big blocker. Kittle can do both. I think right after those two guys is Dallas Goedert.
Wow, that's a lot of praise right there. So that leads me into this question. When you talk about the weapons on this Eagles offense, everyone talks about one of the best wide receiving core, if not the best wide receiving cores in Eagles history here, with Quez Watkins as your third guy behind A.J. Brown, behind Devontae Smith, and then you have Dallas Goedert as the tight end. Miles Sanders is your running back. Kenny Gainwell has got a history there of catching balls out of the backfield. Does Dallas Goedert have the potential to be the breakout star amongst all these weapons?
I think so. I see Goddard having a 1,000-yard season, and from the tight end position, that's tough because these receivers are going to have to get a lot of attention. Devonta Smith, A.J. Brown, even put Quez Watkins, who can run a 4.3 40. People forget how fast Quez is. They're going to have these safeties deep. You know what that means? That means linebackers are going to have to try to cover Dallas Goedert. Good luck. It's not going to happen. These linebackers, and it's not like they can cheat too much, because they're going to hand the ball off to Miles Sanders, Kenneth Gainwell, Boston Scott. Miles Sanders flashed to me at camp as well. The guy shows some great quickness, some speed. I didn't know he had that much juice, but this guy's really impressive too, Miles Sanders. So all that adds up to me is Dallas Goedert having a big season and finding some holes in the middle of that field. And from what I saw in camp, Jalen Hurts is looking for him.
Okay. Now, the weapons are there. They're in place. Does Dallas Goedert have a little bit of an advantage? Like, is there any truth to the idea of a young quarterback finding his way in the NFL and relying on that tight end? Do you think Dallas Goedert kind of becomes that safety valve for a guy like Jalen Hurts?
I think so. I think obviously the guys outside are going to get all the attention. You know, the wide receivers, the X and the Z, those are the sexy guys, those pretty boys out there. But I'm a guy that loves the tight end in the middle of the field. Play action pass. These linebackers suck up. The Eagles, obviously everybody knows what kind of running game the Eagles have. These defenses, these linebackers are going to have to respect this run game. Last year, the Eagles had the best rush offense in the entire National Football League. When that happens, you see Goddard sneak behind these linebackers. There's going to be a big hole in the middle of the field. Like I said, these safeties aren't going to be able to cheat up much because of a guy named A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, if you've heard of them. So I think this all adds up to my man, Dallas Goedert. Going to draft him on my fantasy football team. Got my draft after this. Hope I get him, but he's my top tight end. So.
Well, the way you're talking about him, he better. Where are you picking? Where are you picking in your draft there?
I'm 6 out of 12, so it's a good spot because
yeah.
He's in the middle the whole time.
I assume you're just going to take Dallas Goedert right there, right?
Not with the first overall pick.
Yeah, I know. Complete this idea for me. Complete this thought for me. When I see Jalen Hurts do this year, when I see him do this, I will know that he has taken that big step forward that we wanted him to take. What is that one thing that you want to see from Jalen Hurts to let you know that he can be the quarterback of the future here in Philadelphia?
Mark, I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch, but going to camp and just this preseason, I'm sold. I'm already on the Jalen Hurts gonna have a big year bandwagon. Just his demeanor this season at camp, the way he's just getting the ball out. This guy's all business. He's got these weapons, this offensive line, and he's really taking command. I got some friends on that team still talking to the guys and, talking to all the riders on the sidelines and just hearing from everybody. To me, it starts to take shape is I think Jalen's going to have a huge year. My only question is, who's not going to have a 1,000-yard season? You got Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, Quez Watkins. There's a lot. There's only one football, but I think Jalen is going to have a big year. The way he is getting the ball out quick. There's always, for me, last season, I was seeing, okay, probably could have got that a little sooner. Probably could have anticipated that throw a little bit better. They probably could have led that receiver a little bit better. I go into camp. I go, this guy, it's incredible what he's been doing. You could tell he put in the work in the offseason. He looked big. I go, they got a new tight end. That's Jalen Hurts. This guy looks bigger than me. Man, this guy's a tight end out there playing quarterback. I'm sold, man. I think Jalen Hurts is going to have a big year. I think, hey, I don't know if I'm going to take him first, but he might be my fantasy quarterback too. So.
Good enough. All right. Nick Sirianni. This guy never played in the NFL, obviously. Played D3, college football, whatever it was, right?
Yeah.
This guy seems to have won over a locker room through 1 year as a head coach in the NFL, despite never being a player himself. Doug Peterson, you get how he was such a player's coach, right? Nick Sirianni seems to have kind of gotten that same type of respect in the locker room after 1 year. Why do you think that? First off, do you agree with that? And second, why is that?
He's watering his flowers, man. After he's watering his flowers. After you guys were giving him so much of a hard time through the whole beginning part of the season last year when he wouldn't run the football, and he comes back with the water and flowers, this guy's going to have a short tenure in Philly. And then this guy completely turns it around. It was incredible. People were already calling for this guy to be fired, if you remember last year early in the season. He turns it around, starts running the ball, best offensive run game in the league. It's incredible. But I think it's just the way that he takes care of his players. He's a player's coach. The players know that he's got their backs. He's going to be a straight shooter with them. And as a player, I always love that. He's got some Coach Reed qualities about himself. Every player that ever played with Coach Reed will tell you how much they love him. He's a player's coach. He's got your back. He's going to coach you. He's going to help you to be better. But he's just a guy that you know's trying to help you and wants to be a good coach and be there for you. He's not he's not a guy like in Jacksonville last year or, a Chip Kelly type coach where you think it's about them or about him. He wants to be the celebrity. So I think that's the big thing with Nick Sirianni. He wants to win. He's a perfect guy for Philadelphia. He understands that football in Philadelphia is almost sacred. It's a special city. It's a special town where, you got to realize with great power comes great responsibility. You're the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, and I think he gets it. So I like him for the Birds.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Was there a Chip Kelly, Urban Meyer comparison to be made there? Because I could certainly see that.
Yeah, I'm saying like those guys were just bad. They try to bring their college program into the NFL. I'm lucky. I'm happy I never played for Urban, but unfortunately, I got a little bit of Chip. And we talked about playing a little bit of linebacker last time. So, yeah.
God bless you, brother. God bless you. Last two things for you. Eagles start their season Sunday against the Detroit Lions. How will their season start? Do they get a W? If so, a big W over the Lions, a convincing W? How does the season start out for the Eagles?
I love Dan Campbell. He was my tight end coach when I spent a year in New Orleans with the Saints. I also played in Detroit for a season. I played with the Lions. While we made the playoffs, Matt Stafford, we lost opening round to the Seahawks. So I have some ties, right? Mm-hmm. I like what I think Dan Campbell is doing there, but this Eagles team is set up to go deep, and I think they're going to be ready early. I think the Eagles, to me, it's 80. I'm 85% sure, 90% sure the Eagles are coming out with a W. I think it's not that close. They're winning by 10, maybe 14. And I got a big game by Jalen. We're going to start off running the ball, get Miles Sanders involved early, Kenny Gainwell the ball, get some play actions out to AJ and Devontae. And obviously you got to hit my man Dallas, the defense. You got veterans on this defense. These guys aren't going to start slow. Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, Hargrave Sweat, you got Kaiser White, TJ Edwards. They got a year in this system. I think the Eagles handle business here, and I don't think it's close.
All right, that's how they'll start the season. How will they end the season? Where does this Eagles 2022 campaign end, Clay Harbor?
It ends as the NFC champions. I see them winning the NFC East champions.
Okay. All right. Let me calm down for a second. Okay. Yeah. NFC East champions.
NFC East champions. I'm not a tight end. I'm a tight end, so I don't backpedal too much. But NFC East champions, 11-6, 12-5, good season. And I think they make a deep run in the playoffs. Obviously, I want to see more before I start predicting what happens in the playoffs. But right now, the preseason, the offseason, the moves Howie made, watching them in camp, watching how these guys have improved, especially Jalen Hurts. This, as I take a snapshot right now, this is as confident as I've been on an Eagles team that I've ever seen. Unfortunately, even the teams that I played on. So, I'm really confident that this team will do well, make the playoffs, win the division. Fly, Eagles, fly. EAGLES, Eagles, baby. Let's go.
All right. I apologize. I hate when I do this, but I lied. I didn't realize that you and Dan Campbell crossed over. You guys were there in New Orleans at the same time when he was a tight ends coach.
Yeah.
I've followed Dan Campbell's career for a long time when he was a tight end for the Giants and obviously when he was with the Dolphins. And this guy has just always been Mr. Intense, but the world is just being exposed to most of how extreme Dan Campbell could be as a coach. Any stories from your time together about Dan Campbell being very Dan Campbell-esque?
I got to say, I only had a year with him, but he is one of the most memorable guys I've ever been coached by. He is just such a genuine, good freaking guy. He's got stories like you wouldn't believe, and he's just, what you see is what you get. I mean, this guy's country, but he's so smart. He'll teach you a lot. He gets it. He played the game. Man, Dan Campbell's a good guy, a good coach, and tough to root against a guy like that. You hope he does well, but just not this first week. But I don't have any stories off the top of my head. But I know what we do in the tight end room. We had Kobe Fleener, Michael Kumawanu, Josh Hill. We had a nice group of guys, but we'd always try to get, let's get Dan talking, because we knew he would tell stories. Questions. So we'd go in the room. We got a bunch of stuff. We're all veteran guys. We know the offense. We don't want to do the boring install stuff. Get him talking. So we get Campbell talking, man, and he would just go off on tangents about stories, guys he's coached, times he was playing when he was a player, and next thing you know, the meeting's, oh man, I lost track of time. You guys are good. You guys are like, yeah, coach, we're good. We just through the whole meeting listening to stories about coach's playing days. So that was one of the things we used to do in New Orleans.
Like your favorite substitute teacher coming in that day. Just ask her about her kids. She'll just keep talking. Yeah. Oh, that's great. Ladies and gentlemen, nine-year NFL veteran, former Eagles tight end, just an all-around great guy, Clay Harbor, joining us here on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line. Clay, thanks so much, brother. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you having me on, Mark. Thank you.
Absolutely. Clay Harbor joining us on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line. I only know that's what you do with substitute teachers because my mom was a substitute teacher, and often the kids would just ask her about me or my older brother, and then she'd apparently talk for quite a while, but then she got hip to it. Can't get anything past Eleanor. And then she was like, oh, I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. And then she'd just only talk about us for like maybe 10 minutes as opposed to the whole class. Anyway, Clay's great, isn't he? Always fun catching up with him. And that is some high praise of Dallas Goedert. Maybe the best all-around tight end in football. You got that George Kittle character out there. He's pretty damn good all around. Travis Kelce, best receiving tight end. That definitely goes to him. Dallas Goedert could be right there with those three names. So if you drafted him in your fantasy league, congratulations. Clay apparently is going to take him pretty high. Not with his first pick. Not with his first round pick. But he's going to take him pretty high apparently. And how about being sold on Jalen Hurts? If you tell me you're sold on Jalen Hurts, then that means you think he is going to be the guy for the foreseeable future. I am not. I think that will happen. But I can't say that after a training camp. I can't say it after just watching him 1 year as a starting quarterback. I think he will win the job after this season. I think after this year, I think he will sign a contract and he will be the quarterback for the foreseeable future. I don't think the Eagles are going to. I think this. I think he's going to be good enough this upcoming season that they're not going to use one of their or both of their first-round picks in an attempt to get the next franchise quarterback. I think it will be Jalen Hurts after this year. I've told you a million reasons why I think that, a million times why I think that is going to happen. Bottom line is, it's going to be, I think, hard to fail in this offense. Good offensive line, good weapons, maybe even great offensive line, maybe some of the best weapons the Eagles have ever had in terms of depth on this offense. Like, I was looking at it, and I was thinking to myself, who's going to be that breakout star? Who is going to be the guy that, all right, fourth quarter, late in the game, who do you want to get their hands on that football? Are you going to want Miles Sanders to have a lot of say in what happens in this offense? Or is it going to be Dallas Goedert? Is it going to be A.J. Brown? Is it going to be Quez Watkins? Or is it going to be Devontae Smith? Who is going to be the go-to guy on this offense? I think it's going to be up to Jalen Hurts to make sure the defense has no idea what's coming. Because any one of these guys, because of how good Jalen Hurts has become, this is the point I'm hoping they get to in the season, that Jalen Hurts is going to keep that defense on their toes because they don't know who's going to be the one to beat you. They don't know if it's going to be Quez Watkins. They don't know if it's going to be Jalen Hurts scrambling. They don't know if it's going to be Miles Sanders. They don't know if it's going to be Devontae Smith or A.J. Brown or Dallas Goedert. Or Grant Calcaterra, excuse me. They don't know. That's going to be the job of Jalen Hurts, to make sure a defense is on their toes the entire time, not knowing what's coming next. So that's what I'd like to see. And that's what I think Jalen Hurts is going to be able to execute this season. And Nick Sirianni and Shane Steichen are going to be able to draw it up for themselves and for this offense to have a lot of success. When it comes to everything else, though, when it comes to that Jason Peters fella, How about that? What, top 20? Okay. Hey, look, Tyron Smith going down is obviously a big deal. Tyler Smith being a first-round draft pick is nothing to, I think, just brush off. That's a pretty good guy in there that's going to be playing left tackle. Young and experienced, sure. Do we hope he is a first-round bust? Of course we do. But Jason Peters there waiting in the wings to get into that spot. That's not a bad guy to fall back on. And our man right there, Clay Harbor, still thinks Jason Peters has a lot left in the tank. Let me tell you about our friends at Manscaped, manscaped.com. Manscaped is the leader in below-the-waist grooming, and now you can trust them with the whole shebang. You can join the 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with manscaped.com. And for 20% off and free shipping, you just use promo code Farzy. That's promo code Farzy for 20% off your order at manscaped.com. 20% off and free shipping. Because, fellas, you want to look good everywhere, right? That's why they have the Platinum Package 4.0, which includes a Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, and it all comes with skin-safe technology that helps reduce the risk of nicks so you can manscape with confidence and comfort. Plus, the ultra-premium body wash, 2-in-1 shampoo conditioner, deodorant, crop preserver, anti-chafing ball deodorant, crop reviver, ball spray toner. You haven't lived, folks. Anti-chafing boxers, and the shed travel bag that you'll be using to hold all the goods that you'll be using to take care of your goods from Manscaped. Manscaped.com, promo code Farzy for 20% off. Speaking of 20% off, how about 20% off your CBD from Freestone Farm CBD, freestonefarmcbd.com. Their strain menu is incredible. They have strains like their insane tropical tasting Bayox that clocks in at a chart-topping 24.1%, and Super CBD, which is half Hindu, Kush, and 21%. The genetics, they're off the charts. And they also grow all their premium hemp flower in the Garden State, so there's nothing synthetic from farm to jar. All organic inputs. IPMs, delicious. And after harvest, they carefully preserve all their plant compounds with a perfect 3-month cure. Just one look or smell will let you know it's CBD done right. Use promo code Farzy for 20% off at Freestone Farm CBD, freestonefarmcbd.com. PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsNation.com. Problem in the bedroom, fellas? Want to take care of that problem? Blue Chew, BlueChew.com. Blue Chew's tablets help man combat all forms of ED. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in chewable form. And again, Blue Chew is online, so there's no embarrassing trips to the doctor or pharmacy, as Blue Chew ships right to your home in a discreet package. Here's the Blue Chew process. You sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive their prescription within days, and it's all done online. Also, Blue Chew's licensed medical providers will work with you to find the right ingredient and strength for your prescription. You don't like swallowing pills? No problem here. Blue Chew's tablets are chewable. Blue Chew's tablets are made right here in the good old U.S. of A., and they prepare and ship directly to your house, so it's cheaper than a pharmacy. Once again, there's a special deal for our listener and our viewers. Try Blue Chew free when you use promo code Farzy at checkout and just pay $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code Farzy, all one word, to receive your first month free. Just pay $5 shipping. BlueChew.com. Let's jump into the chat check and see how all you beautiful people are doing. Kevin, what's going on? John Cheesebro, good morning. Kevin, hello again. April. Mally. Oh, Mally, smoke him if you got it. Boy, was I smoking him over this past weekend. Smoke him on a river. Smoke him in my cousin-in-law's backyard. Smoke him in my brother-in-law's backyard. Oh, man, those are some good cigars. Ah? I was going to admit to something, didn't you? Nah. Delicious cigars. Fantastic. Mally, John Cheesebro. Maybe it's me, but Jason Peters hanging on at this point is just sad. It's not like Dallas getting the Jason Peters in 2009 or even 2016 when he caught Ryan Matthews or was that Darren Sproles? I thought it was Darren Sproles because I remember Jason Peters catching Darren Sproles like he was a wee baby. And he burped him, and then he put him back down in his stand-in play. Anyway, I think that was, I think I could be wrong, but I think it was Darren Sproles. Every time something like this gets brought up, John, about whether or not it's sad an athlete hanging on, I try to put myself in that athlete's shoes. And I think Daniel Tosh actually summed it up rather well. He did a bit on being a backup quarterback, like being a great quarterback and how sad it is when a great quarterback like Brett Favre hangs on too long or whatever. Like, I'm sorry, what's the minimum pay for like an NFL veteran quarterback? $800,000? Yeah, I'll be a NFL quarterback, a backup. Oh, $400,000? Yeah, I'll do that too. Like, I can only imagine loving something that much, like loving your sport that much, and then walking away from it at any point has got to be the toughest decision ever, Tom Brady. I can't imagine. So, like, when people talk about sad, like them holding on, like a guy like Jason Peters or the bigger names like a Tom Brady or a Brett Favre, whatever it might be, those guys holding on, even Peyton Manning, when he went and won his second Super Bowl with the Broncos, we all know that he wasn't the same Peyton Manning that it was with the Colts. He was a very different quarterback. They won because their defense was so great, and Peyton Manning basically became a really good game manager. But to me, that's not sad, guys like that holding on. I know, yes, they were once up here, and now they're playing down at this level, but I can't imagine walking away from a sport that I love. Oh, and by the way, I'm not getting paychecks like that anywhere else. Like, unless you got one of them cush TV jobs waiting for you, like Drew Brees had, or like Tom Brady has, like you're not going to be signing it. Like, you're not getting NFL game checks. Like, I remember working with guys that were talking about their first check from radio or from TV compared to their last game check, and they're like, "All right, this is my life now. Where's my financial advisor? How do I plan for this?" Like, that's no joke. That is no joke. So, yeah, if you want to hang on for a little bit, you want to be a backup, left tackle at 40 years old, go for it. You want to be a quarterback at 45 years old, a backup, go for it. What, Vinny Testaverde came back and played for the Carolina Panthers when he was like 42. And I think he was out of the league for 2 years, if not more. Like, I don't fault guys for that. Any athlete, you want to come back at any point, you're not going to ruin the legacy that I'll remember anyway. Oh, but he came back and played with the Wizards. Like, Jordan still averaged 20 points. You know what I mean? Like, I that's one thing I differ than most people. John, I know I'm in the minority there. I know most people consider me wrong and you right, and that's fine. But that's just where I stand on it. Sean Gillespie, John, good morning, Sean. Everyone's happy. Jason Peters probably got hurt taking that signing pick. April, that's funny. I got a cramp. Ink stain. Peter's gonna get hurt. Mally, Peter's gonna get hurt walking during the walkthrough. Sean Gillespie, Peters will need oxygen to get to through the walkthrough. When Mark has a dark button up on and the golden bronze spray tan on, you know it's gonna be an interesting show. I was on the river for 4 hours catching that fish, people. 4 hours. It was cool. I had never done a float fishing trip before. Now, I hate to call it a fishing trip. We were 10 minutes from my cousin-in-law's place, and he had a canoe, and my cousin-in-law and her boyfriend, her boyfriend came along, so it was 3 dudes, 3 bros broing out on the river. This guy had a kayak. He went on in his kayak. I was on the canoe with my cousin-in-law, Joe, who is like an outdoorsman to the nth degree. Like, I envy his outdoors status. He is just on top of it. His son makes their own lures. If you guys ever heard me tell the story about kind of going hunting, it was his son that took me. And I remember I was telling you guys about how, yeah, he was really nice. The guy was nice. He gave me a camo. He gave me a Cliff Bar. He showed me where we were going to be hunting. And I'm really excited for the guy because next week he goes to 8th grade. Like, he's a kid. He's a child. But in Virginia, that's like 40 years old. Any 12-year-old's like 40 in Virginia. So anyway, we go in the canoe, and this kid, he had made his own lures and stuff. And I fished with those and caught 2 bass. It was awesome. It was, caught nothing for like 2 hours, and then bang, bang, 2 bass, like right in 10-minute span. It was incredible. But I'll be going up to the Finger Lakes next week. and hopefully provide you guys with some fine fishing content in some way or another. I don't know if I'm going to bring the kayak up there, but I'm going to have myself some fun. But yeah, that's how I got the gold and bronze. That's how I got the gold and bronze. Let's see here. Sean, football players should be at least making as much as NBA players, being the number one sport in America and being extremely hurtful and dangerous. Sean, you're right. But you're giving me 82 games versus 16, and you're also giving me a career that will most likely last longer. Like, I agree. Like, I forget who it was, but somebody did a total comparison. Like, Michael Hanzus, okay? There's a name from Flyers lore, right? Michael Hanzus was making more money than Brian Westbrook. What? Insane. Good morning, John Cheeseburger. Good morning, PJ. Haven't seen the Hard Knocks finale yet, but this is always an episode I want to see because of the behind-the-scenes access for cut downs. It sucks because players lose their jobs. John, absolutely. John, that's why I watched the third preseason game. That's why I watched the last preseason game, because I want to say, hey, look, Blankenship for the Eagles, he wouldn't have won his job had it not been for that third preseason game. Mega loathe Peters walking back his comments. I would have respected him saying, well, it was me playing the part in the rivalry. You said it. Own it. John, totally agree. You and I are on the same page. Mihai Sanchez. What's up, Mihai? Harper made it up with the game-winning run, scored. JT came in the clutch defensively. Tonight is another must-win with Alcantara. Damn it. Oh, my bad. Starting for the Marlins. I agree. Got to win. Sean Gillespie. The Cowboys are arrogant, especially their annoying fans with their constant living in the past glories. I agree. Ty Vita, good morning. Sean, hello again. Sean Gillespie, Jalen has to have a good year, but everything looks good on paper. Hope that translates to actually gameplay. So do I. Maholy King! What's up, Maholy King? Eagles will lose in the first round. Gee, thanks. Hey, what's up, Fuji? Hola. Jalen Hurts is the X factor, according to Mihai Sanchez. X factor, I'm confident at all the O-line and the defensive. But I'm confident about the O-line and defense. Rager no longer being an Eagle. That's what I can tell everyone. Fly, Eagles, fly. Have a great day, Mark, and everyone here. Thank you, Mihai. Same to you. What else we got? Jim Grassmeter. Jason Peters just pulled his hamstring getting out of bed. Mullet. What's up, Mullet? What's going on, everybody? Nice to see everybody in the chat. Mullet. Mean Gene Clothing Line. Next sponsor. I'm down. Oh, that's great. It pains me when I see players blow through their money. If they handle it right, they could live off the interest. April, I remember I did a Farzy in the field. When I was at WIP, I did a Farzy in the field. And I would interview this one bartender at Chickies and Pete's was gold. Like he was always the voice of reason. Yeah, I'd get the crazy people talking, whatever. But this guy was always top notch with his comments. One of the bartenders at Chickies and Pete's, Brian, I think it was. And he said something that I still think about. It's like, picture yourself, you're 20 years old. All right, you're in college. You're a phenomenal college athlete. You know the world is your oyster. The world is your oyster. If you just buckle down for maybe 6 years, you buckle down for 6 years, the short period of your life, 6 years, and hopefully in a long life of 80, 90 years old, 100 years old, whatever, you know that the world forever will be your oyster. If you really buckle down, concentrate, live a good life on and off the field, work your ass up, those 5 or 6 years where you'll go into the NFL, sign a contract, maybe as a first-round pick, maybe as a second-round pick, get that after your rookie deal, sign that next contract, that big contract, that time span. You just do that, you're set for life. You're set for life. Like, explaining it to me like that, put it on a whole new perspective. And it's absolutely true. You just don't do anything stupid in that 5 to 6 year span, and you're set. You're set. Even if you don't sign that huge contract, you're still going to be going through making a league minimum of what? Was it now 350,000, whatever it is, for a 5 or 6 year span. That's a nice living. That's a nice jump start to adulthood. Not a lot of avenues you're going to be making that money. Jim Grassmeter Peters just gave the Birds 2 wins. There we go. Thanks everybody in the chat. You guys are great, as per usual. Hey, today we're going to be tweeting out the Sky Drive episode for those that haven't watched it yet. I said we're going to be doing it tomorrow. We had one more edit we had to make. We made the edit, and now we're going to be putting it out today, along with some things that Avante Maddox told me that really jumped out to me. So we're going to have some fun with that on the social media platforms. So make sure you guys get that. Sky Motorcars, of course, brings us our fine Sky Drive each and every day. Phillies, I'll show it to you guys one more time for those that missed it. Phillies still tied with the Padres, who won yesterday, by the way. Phillies still tied with the Padres in the National League wild card standings for the second wild card spot. Marlins and Phillies back at it tonight, another 6:45 start time. This time, Bailey Falter back on the bump for the Phillies. The lefty gets to start against Trevor Rogers. Rogers 4-10 with a 5.57 ERA. Yes, I would love the Phillies to have a laugher in this game. However, the only problem here is there's no such thing as laughers anymore. I'm pretty much convinced now, considering what went down with the what went down with the Mets and the Pirates last night, what went down with the Brewers, them losing on a come-from victory from the Rockies, like we talked about earlier. There's no such thing as laughers. The Phillies faced Trevor Rogers back on July 17th. They ended up putting up 4 runs in 6 innings on him with 7 hits. So it was not a bad day at the office for the Phillies. And that was a game played in Miami. So let's hope the Phillies have that. Oh, Aaron Nola. That was the start that Aaron Nola got. The 8 innings, 8 1/3 shutout innings tossed against the Miami Marlins. Here's the Phillies winning another today. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. This is the Farzy Show presented by Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. Jim Hyder produced the program, did a wonderful job. This is a Buzz Sports Entertainment production. My thanks to Clay Harbor for joining the show today, breaking down all things Eagles. Have a great rest. Oh, Mike K, friend of the show, Mike K will join us to break down the Birds even further tomorrow. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. Let's go Phillies.